Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Toya Quiet Storm Collections, where real stories are shared, healing takes place, and purpose rises through every storm. I am your host, Latoya Murchison. Today's guest is an award winning and best-selling author, Army vet, and creative visionary who has written multiple books across multiple journeys. From blogging to building a full literary brand, she continues to inspire through storytelling, love, and purpose. Good evening, Tasha. How are you doing tonight? And welcome to our podcast.
I'm fine. Thanks for having me.
You are very welcome. My first question is, what did your early journey look like before becoming the author we see today?
My early journey, I would say I started writing when I was 9. I grew up in the system and I had, some issues as a young kid, and my social worker suggested that I get a journal and I just write my thoughts down, just write. She said it doesn't have to be about any particular thing, just write. And I just kept doing it. And then when I got into high school, I had this one English literature teacher because I was in AP class, and she would get us all interested in the classics and different authors, with James Baldwin, P. Reed Thomas, and a bunch of other people, and then when we hear their backstories and the
Mhm.
things that they went through, and I was like, I think I want to be a writer myself. So one day while I was sitting outside, I was thumbing through uh, an Ebony magazine, and I saw this article entitled "Power of the Printed Word." They
Mhm.
had um, different authors talking about their journey into writing and the things that they had to do. They had Kurt Vonnegut, they had Erica John, they had Bill Cosby, a couple of other authors. And just hearing them talk about their process, the editing and the doubting and everything that goes along with it, I said, you know what? I want to do that. And one day while I was sitting in the dentist's office, I picked up this copy of Reader's Digest, and they had this contest in it where if you submit a short story and they publish it, you earn money. So I wrote something, I don't remember what it was that I wrote. I submitted it and I earned $50. That was my first dip into the water, and I was proud of that. And then I just kept writing and writing. I never submitted anything. And while at a book signing, one of my favorite authors, Brenda Jackson, I remember stopping at her table and I was telling her, I said, I I write myself, but I haven't published anything, and I have this big box of stories, just. And she said, "You better take something out and submit something, even if you get rejected. At least you can say you submitted something." And I was like, "Yes, ma'am." And that's what I did. I submitted something. I got my first rejection letter, but that was fine. And then one day while I was playing around on social media, there was this publisher, this London publisher, this small print, and they had a contest where they posted a picture and you had to write a couple of lines about the picture. If they liked the picture, then you win a year contract with them. And I won. So that's how I started. I started writing. I spent a year with them, and then I signed with Reach World Publishing. I stayed with them for about a year, And then I decided, to just go independent and
Mm-hmm.
publish and self-publish, because in all honesty, I got tired of sharing money, and I got tired of people telling me what to write.
Mm-hmm.
How I can write and what I can say and what I couldn't say, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do that anymore. I thank them for helping me, you know, and everything and getting me started, but I just started doing it for myself.
How do you stay committed to your vision when things get difficult?
I have to remember something my husband told me one day. He said, "You know what? Remember when you told me you asked God what you should do, what your next
Mm-hmm.
move would be, and if this writing was the right thing, he would give you that confirmation." And I said, "But that was such and such an amount of years ago." And he said, "Did you get that confirmation?" I said, "I did." He said, "See, that's why you can't give up, no matter what." And and I remember I had this conversation with Stephen King about um reviews. And he asked me one question. He said, "Let me ask you a question. Did you get paid for them reading your book?" I said, "Yeah." He
Mm-hmm.
said, "There you go. It doesn't matter that they gave you 1 star." He said,
Mm-hmm.
I cannot count on one hand how many 1 stars I got. But as long as that check cashed and it paid the bills, I'm
Mm-hmm.
fine. And you're going to be fine too. But I've met so many great authors, in my journey, and have been inspired by every last one. And I'm thankful for all of them, because I know that there's a handful that every now and then I reach out to them and they help me find things that help me with, a certain research that I'm doing, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and they're all very nice people. And I've never had anybody say, "No, I can't help you." So I'm like, I'm fortunate. And the Lord has blessed me so far that I can do that.
Right. What draws you to telling love stories and creating meaningful characters?
I don't like anything tragic. I
Mm,
think that everybody's journey has some downfalls, but there's got to be some that nice shining light at the end of the tunnel. Like the book that I'm getting ready to publish is basically, it's about loss. It's about a woman that lost her husband, and she's getting ready to get back out in the dating scene, and her friend keeps, "Well, you need to get out there, and your husband wouldn't want you just sitting in the house closed up and not getting out and everything." And she keeps resisting and resisting. And one day she joins this gym, and that's when she meets the guy. And I go through the whole thing about her loss, because I use my experience as hers,
right.
and the things that she going through, the things that she feels and everything. And I was like, I remember my editor, well, my ex-editor, she said, "You have a lot of anger in this story. You sure you're not projecting your anger onto your heroine?" And I said, "You know what? I am." And I went
Mm,
back and I read it, and I said, "I need to take this out, change this, because people might be put out by the heroine's overall attitude towards the guy that she just met." So I changed a lot of it and everything, and toned it down a little bit, because I said, "Yeah, that was my anger at him leaving the way that he did, and how I felt about it." So I changed that. and and I like the book. I like it. So
Okay.
hopefully, Lord's will, I'll have it out by July. I don't know. I'm still playing around with the cover,
Right.
but hopefully I'll have it out in July.
Well, first, I would like to say, I'm sorry for your loss, and I'm sure it's affected this process of writing for you. But I commend you, one, from being coming on the show, and two, for being open and transparent to letting people see what you've been going through. And I know that it's going to inspire and help so many other people. So thank you for being transparent. We have a question from one of the listeners. Do you ever give up? Do you ever think of giving up on writing?
No, that's kind of funny, but no, I've always wanted to write because I find it cathartic and I find it
Mhm.
therapeutic, even if the first paragraph is nonsense and I need to change it. I find that it helps me work through whatever it is that I'm going through. That's why I want to continue to write.
What does your creative process look like for bringing characters to life?
A lot of times it's I come up with the title first.
Mm,
Then I picture the hero and the heroine in my head and what they might look like
okay.
and everything. And then I once I have the name of the book, the hero and the heroine, then I got to figure out what do they do and what motivates them to do whatever it is that they do. And
Mm,
then I do my most favorite thing, research. I love research.
mhm,
I think that's my most favorite thing to do because I love learning things. I love learning new things. And I try to be as accurate as I can. If I find that something I wrote isn't right, I'll
mhm,
go and look it up or I'll ask someone that's
mhm,
doing that actual job. And one book I worked on, that thing took me a year to write. Through the Fire. It's
mm,
about a serial arsonist that was setting fires all over the town. I was inspired by this girl that I was in foster care with.
mhm,
She set her grandmother's house on fire because her grandmother wouldn't let her go out and play. And the social worker told us that every house she went to, if she didn't like something that they did to her, she would set something on fire. And I found that to be very interesting. I talked to a psychologist about it, and I talked to a couple of other people that deal with this kind of thing.
mhm,
And they were like, well, it's more of a way of having control over something. That's why they do it. So I changed the names of the people in the story. And
mhm.
I remember I went to the fire department. I asked them a lot of questions.
Right.
And I got the book that the firefighters take, when they're taking their test, the written test. I got that. And then I worked at a hardware store. So I learned everything I could learn about the different wood, treated and untreated, and things like that. And I applied that into the story. And then I talked to my sister about what she remembered about the girl that we were in the home with. And then I put the story together. But I love learning new things and trying stuff. My husband used to think I was nuts because I actually set a small fire just to see, you know, how it would burn. Because there's a such thing as a point of entry. That's where the fire starts. The point where the fire starts. So I found that that spot that the fire starts is always darker than the rest of the material that's burned. And I said, wow. And then I learned about electrical fires and
Right.
fires, that are started by nature, like lightning and
Mm.
different things. So that was fun putting that book together, and hopefully I'll have that republished somewhere time down the line. I don't know. We'll see.
We have a question from a listener. What genre is that book?
That book is romantic suspense.
Okay. Thank you for answering. Okay, my next question. Your breakthrough novel, A Question of Marriage, really made waves. What inspired you to write this story?
That story was written 10 years ago, believe it or not.
Okay.
And I just sat on it. I sat on it and sat on it and sat on it and sat on it. And one day, I said, you know what? I'm gonna I'm gonna rework this story and I'm gonna publish this book. So, I did, and it got mixed reviews, but that's fine. I think it was one of my favorite stories because there's this line where the heroine tells the hero, because of the life that he led, he reminds her of an amusement park ride. He said, everybody has been on you and going round and round and round and round and round. And there's still people waiting in line for their turn. And they can see how he gets mad because he doesn't want to be regarded like that, especially by her. So,
You've expanded beyond writing into cover design and creative branding. What inspired you to take this step?
well, I was an artist. I used to create posters and different things for my teacher friends and for my relatives that were teachers.
Mm.
And I don't know why I stopped doing it. I guess when I joined the army, all of that took a back seat. But I was like, you know what? I need to get back into that. And I mean, I don't mind paying people to design my covers, but I feel like I needed to learn how to do it myself as well, just in case I didn't have the funds to pay somebody to do it.
Right.
I found this great cover designer, Olivia Design off of Fiverr. She is fantastic. This lady, she just does anything that I that I ask her to do, no matter how crazy.
Hmm.
And she's been so great. But I was like, I need to learn how to do this myself. I
Right.
need to play around with the different apps, and I need to learn how to do it myself. The only thing that I haven't tried is fantasy, but I have this one cover designer from Germany. He is, whoo, this guy is fantastic. He does album covers, he does magazine covers, and everything. And he did this one cover for me for a book I published on Kindle Vella,
Hmm.
Love of a Bear. And
Mm.
the money that I paid him a lot, but I didn't mind because he made me a 3D poster.
Oh
He
wow.
made me some bookmarks, and he made some other stuff for me too. And the 3D poster looked like the characters were moving in the poster. He said, I just wanted to do a little extra for you, but I always recommend him when people want something special.
Mm-hmm.
and he will work with you as far as the price because
Okay.
he's very nice. But he was telling me, if this is what you want to do, then you should play around with the different apps and learn how to do it yourself and everything. And he encouraged me to get back into it. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it myself because we have things like Fiverr and Adobe. I mean, not
Mm-hmm.
Fiverr, but Canva, Adobe, and other things that will help you manipulate a picture and get it to what you want it to be.
Right. Uh, Paulette says you've always had great covers.
I think so too. Thank you, Paulette. I loved I loved it. Our art is just great. I didn't want to be like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you always want your covers to stand out
Right.
from everybody. You didn't want to be, oh, well, such and such a has that same
Mm-hmm.
picture on their cover or that same style. So that's what I liked about Olivia Pro Design because she, she asked me, what my favorite colors were and what colors, I wanted to use, and that's what she does. And whenever I need something special, she do it for me.
What advice would you give authors about branding themselves?
About what?
Branding themselves.
Well, the first thing you need to do is decide what best represent you.
Mm,
Who are you? Are you don't want to be like somebody else. And the thing that I don't like is when somebody compares their work to somebody else.
right.
You don't want to be compared to somebody else.
Mm-mm.
You want to be compared to yourself. I learned that from Sandy Brown. I learned that from Kristen Higgins, and I learned that from Maureen Smith. That you don't want to be like other people. You
Right.
want to be like yourself. You don't want to. Oh, Bridget Midway wrote that same thing, or is it just the same thing that she did it? No, you want to be like yourself. You want people to know every time when they see your logo or they see your picture, they know that yes, this is what she does. And I'm going to automatically gravitate to her work because I like her work. It's
Mm-hmm.
some authors, somebody asked me the other day, did I have favorite authors? I said that I have four favorite authors. No matter what they write, I'm one click in their book because I know it's going to be good.
Mm,
And then my husband used to laugh at me, and he's like, "How do you know it's going to be good?" Because I said, "Well, I get a vibe from people a lot of
mm,
times,
mhm.
and I like if I like the way that they write, I will support them no matter what."
As an Army veteran, discipline and resilience are part of your story. How has your military experience shaped your mindset as an author and entrepreneur?
Well, it definitely helps me meet a deadline. If I set a deadline for myself, I meet it, or I meet it to the best of my ability. And things go wrong in life, but
Mm,
for the most part, whatever deadline I set for myself, I meet it.
okay.
If I say I'm going to write 150 words today or this week, that's what I do.
What keeps you grounded during your challenging seasons?
What keeps me grounded? Well, God keeps me grounded, basically.
Mm,
I found a really great church, and they help a lot too. And then I have my animals and I have my children.
Right.
So they help keep me grounded a lot.
You've built an incredible body of work, 13 books and counting. What legacy do you want your writing to leave behind?
That I told stories that people will remember. That my
Hmm.
characters, people will remember my characters. I mean, I have a few favorites that I absolutely positively love.
Right.
And some of them, some of the books, in retrospect, if I wasn't signed with the publisher, I probably wouldn't have wrote them. But it's like my husband said, they asked you to do it, so you did it. And you let that go.
We have a question from Paulette. Do you ever get burnt out in marketing?
Yes, because I don't know how to market. And in all honesty, I'm terrible at marketing. I really am. I I'm taking classes. I'm learning how to do it, and I'm taking advice from some great people. But yeah, I'm terrible at marketing. I really am. I need to get on the ball. I really do. I mean, I have people that talk about my work and everything because I have a couple of contractors here in the town where I live at that always spread the word or ask me about my book. One time I got put on the spot by the mayor.
Oh, wow.
I was still walking on the street and he stopped me and he said, "When is your next book coming out?" And I'm looking at him like, what? And he said,
Mm,
"Do you?" And then he stopped somebody else. "Do you know that she's an author? That she writes this, and this, and this? Do you have any cards? Give him a card." I was like, "Oh Lord." But I'm really grateful for those people because otherwise, I don't know what I would do. If if I didn't have that type of support.
right. Shakila asks, do you ever get writer's block?
No. Reason why I don't get writer's block is because if I ever get stuck on a story, I always move to another manuscript and work on it until the words start to flow again on the original thing that I'm working on.
Okay. What does walking in purpose look like for you right now?
Walking in purpose for me is I hope that I'm becoming who God wants me to be, not the person I was before. Because in September of 2023, I rededicated my life to God, and my husband and my son and I we got baptized again, and it was something that we had to do because we were we weren't on the path that we are supposed to be on.
Mm,
So we participated in the mass baptism our church was holding, and that was the best thing that I had ever done. And that's thing that helps me a lot. It really does.
okay. Before we close, I have two more questions for you. What is one word that describes your journey and why?
One word that describes my journey is purposeful. Reason
Mm,
why I say that is because I God set me on this path. I asked him if this is the right thing for me to do. He was show me that it was the right thing for me to do. And I feel like I need to keep continuing to fulfill my purpose as a writer, and I need to continue to grow. I don't need to go back. I need to move, keep on moving forward.
Tasha, it has been amazing hearing your journey and learning so much about the process of being an author and cover designer. Thank you for sharing your story, your journey, and your heart with us today. Your voice is truly impactful, and your work is touching lives in ways that matter. To everyone listening, remember this: your story matters, your voice matters, and your purpose is still unfolding. Even in the storm, purpose still speaks. I am your host, Latoya Murchison. Thank you for joining us on Quiet Storm Collections, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.